First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. We have a great crowd. Look, this is something that really means a lot to us, the signing of Bill 3. When we first came into office, there was a piece of legislation called Bill 7 that was started by Mayor Caldwell in the prior administration, which I actually thought was genius, and that was simply an incentive program for the first time in the city's history to help private developers, private builders, people who own many of what you see, some 6,500 different units in the urban core, to maybe take a look at those units and think about rebuilding them, okay, or and so because the land, when you think about construction in the urban core, it really is a terrific opportunity. First of all, the buildings were old and dilapidated, but beyond that, the good news is that not only are they in great locations with easy access to bus lines and schools and department stores and supermarkets, but the genius of it is that all the infrastructure is in place. Electricity, water, sewer, everything. And so many of you probably know what those buildings look like. We're certainly around us. We've only early on now begun to change that. So that looked like a great deal. But we found out that the bill had some issues with it, especially as it resulted in our ability to provide the incentive money. So we reworked that, and our very first piece of legislation as an administration early on in our tenure was Bill 1, which we thought was a good modification, and it actually increased the amount of incentive plan that we wanted to do as well. And we had some takers. In fact, we had some great meetings in that conference room with more than 40 developers at a time, people really interested in doing that. But then what happened as a result of COVID, and we all know, interest rates soared, construction costs also went up, materials went up, everything got a little bit out of control. And so despite our plans to incentivize them, it was still difficult for them to do these kinds of projects and still have it penciled out. And that's part of the reason why there haven't really been moderate homes before. So the city's involvement in being able to provide financial incentives is an important one for these developers. So now, as interest rates begin to decline, and we see construction costs, and quite honestly, some of the other things that we were challenged by, which had a lot to do with building materials being available, the supply chain stuff, it's really good. But we looked at it and thought, you know what, we need to really tailor this incentive even more so, because we want that lift from the developers. We know we've got a lot of interest and a lot of queues. What can we do now with interest rates moving in the right direction to really further and actually improve on the Bill 1? And that's what Bill 3 is about. It really is designed to enable these people to look at building moderate income households, which is a big part of our market as we fight against out-migration and people just saying simply the math doesn't work. I need a place to live. They want to be independent. Bill 3 works all the way around, and I'm excited because I really believe it's going to give us the lift we want. So I'm honored today to sign. I want to thank the City Council, Councilmember Dos Santos-Tam and Councilmember Wire in this room this morning. There's been a lot of collaboration. They helped organize this. So just summing it up, through several iterations now, we've got something that we think will really work. We've gone to some of the groundbreaking on these and now even blessings, from groundbreaking to blessing in 9 months, these 5,000 square foot lots. Incredible. And it goes from a bunch of units that were not really habitable to really gentrifying the city, making it look better, building 25 and even greater units there in great locations, being constructed in 9 months. And I know for a fact there's a lot of developers who would like to do the same thing. So we're really excited about this as one of our tools here as we go about the business of creating more housing on this island and having the city be a very active player. This is important. I want to thank the council members again. I'm going to ask Councilmember Dos Santos-Tam to come up and say a few words.
Well, thank you, Mayor. This is one of many bills of the City Council that we're putting forward to address the biggest issue that we have in our community. The housing crisis is something that affects every local family, and with the partnership between the Mayor's office and our pro-housing City Council, we finally gotten Bill 3 over the finish line. As you look around our island, we have suburban sprawl out in West Oʻahu. We have luxury high-rises coming up in Kaka'aka, and what's missing is products that local families can afford, units in town, units near where people live, work, and play, and Bill 3 helps us to get there. Bill 3 helps to unlock $10 million of funding that's been set aside between the city and state. Of that $10 million, we've only used $140,000 and gotten it out into the hands of developers who are building these units that local people can afford. And we're hoping that with this program and with Bill 31, a bill that's coming up at the City Council, we'll be able to unlock those funds and get them to be used. It does us no good if it sits in a city bank account. We need to get it out there into the hands of local developers who are trying to build these small apartments for local people to live in. And we're going to keep on pushing to make sure that local people can get into housing. We need to stem the tide of out-migration, and Bill 3 is a great step to doing that. And I just want to thank my colleagues. I want to thank Councilmember Wire in particular. He's been a real champion for housing as the chair of the Housing Committee. And we need to keep on doing more to make sure our local people can afford to live here in our islands.
Great, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Wire, you want to say anything?
Well, first, just want to applaud the leadership of Mayor and Councilmember Dos Santos-Tam and all of our council, right, on working together to really address and respond to our housing crisis. I couldn't have said it better than these two gentlemen. Really, this measure is a tool in the toolkit, focusing in on urban infill projects, right, underdeveloped, underutilized, maybe vacant land in the urban core, and provides an opportunity to build housing units that fit the nature of the community and provide units that can really help move us in the direction of responding to this out-migration that we see. I know it's affecting every family on Oahu. Everyone knows someone, right, that's been impacted by people moving away. And in terms of moving our community forward, as Councilmember Dos Santos-Tam, there's many measures we need to be working on. I was so grateful to join Derek at the property on Olive Avenue in Wahiawa, the Austin family's property, providing 36 units to local families. And I look forward to supporting all the other pipelines, all the other projects in the pipeline, rather, and look forward to working with the administration and the council to really respond to the housing crisis we're in. Mahalo.
Okay, so before I sign this, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce our Director of Housing, Denise Masabara. And Denise is also our architect in all the things that we're doing with respect to housing. So this is a good moment for us because we had to work through this. Quite honestly, and again, thanks and congratulations to the council. This was not as easy to put together as we thought it would be, but I think we got it all done now. So we're there. I'm going to sign this, and off we go, and we'll come back and answer any questions. There you go. Good. Okay, you have questions for these guys? I know you do. I'm just going to step to the side, but go ahead. Anybody or anything? This is good. You know, what this does is it creates rental properties on the market that people can actually afford. I said earlier about having the math work. You know, you build these to a certain, you understand there's a considerable segment of population and their earnings are at X amount. And these kinds of units, that 60 to 800% AMI, this works for a lot of those people who are working hard, who want to have that self-respect, that dignity of having their own place to live, paying their rent. It works all the way around. And not only that, it helps beautify the city. And, okay.
Mayor, how important was it to have the dilapidated ones with the infrastructure already there? I mean, did that?
Well, they're there, you know,
as well,
yeah.
Is it good to go?
Well, they're there. Now we have to do is we have to reach these developers. And I think what's going to happen now is we begin to, and we had to work through some things in our Department of Planning and Permitting too. There was a lot of stuff that had to really get worked out. But those units are there. Drive around. You'll see them all over the place. I lived in one in 1971 when I was in graduate school at UH. It was old then. It's still there today. And, think about that. That's 50 years later. So, they're there. They're in great locations. And it's amazing if you go down to, You know, if you go to Green Street or even down in Olive, and you take a look at what they can build on a 5,000 square foot lot. And with today's construction materials too, they're really good at putting these up. So like I said earlier, we went from a groundbreaking to a blessing in 9 months. Incredible, but also it just improves the looks of the city. And it's not only that, it's a much better place for somebody to live in. It's fundamental, you know, it's clean, it's new, it's got air conditioning in some cases, or windows that work to take advantage of the trades. You know, it's just better. So this is what this is about, trying to make it better, okay? All right, well, look, I thank you all for being here. We're excited about this, okay? Thank you.